Good afternoon. This is Seafood Dave Charles with KAJUKENBO Napoli here in Naples, Italy. I wanted to make a short video today due to the fact that there's been a lot of things going on in KAJUKENBO with respect to politics lately. And I know some of you may be aware of what happened in the KAJUKENBO Training Society room a couple months back. Since then, I've been in contact with the Imperato family, who put me into contact with the KSDI, namely Glenn Fraticelli. We discussed the situation and some of the things that I thought were of concern with what's going on with KAJUKENBO. He assured me that he was going to take that forward to the KAJUKENBO Congress for discussion, and had mentioned that I should hear something official back following that discussion. However, that's been a couple months now, and I have yet to hear anything. And in discussion the other day with Senior Grand Master, I heard some things that kind of made me think that without lack of better words, I guess, is that organization is also involved in some of those politics. So with that said here, I just wanted to have a quick discussion here with the Senior Grand Masters and discuss what some of the issues that we see. So keep in mind, this is not one of those let me flick you in the nose kind of videos. This is something where we're extending an olive branch, and we're trying to improve our relationship between the organizations, in the spirit of Ohana. So with that said, I'd like to go ahead and welcome Senior Grandmaster Hemenes and Senior Grandmaster Robert New for a little discussion today. So, gentlemen, welcome.
Well, glad you have us on here today, and we'll try to give our input and everything. I'll let Senior Grandmaster New start off since he's my senior.
Well, just put me on the spot, but that's okay. Yes, there's been quite a bit of politics going around, saying people aren't recognized because they're not KSDI. And the problem with that is there are a lot of organizations out there. KSDI is not the only organization that recognizes the people in KAJUKENBO. They need to understand that the boss role was only for the 8th and 9th degree, that's stipulated by SGM Imperato. The other thing too is that there would be no 10th degree from that point on. So the organizations outside of KSDI still recognizes that. We still recognize the things that Imperato passed down to us. KSDI is not the only one that have ties with SGM Imperato. Many of us outside of KSDI do. So, one of the things that needs to be done is that we got to get away from the politics. We need to focus on making KAJUKENBO as one family. Even though we have different organizations, we're still one family. And we need to stop the bad mouthing. We need to stop false accusations of people when they don't have the facts. And also, we have to be humble. And I see that across the board that a lot of jealousies out there. A lot of guys are jealous of what, for instance, the WWKF, the largest federation, KAJUKENBO federation globally. So the WWKF is not there to outdo KSDI, not outdo other organizations. We're there doing what Imperato asks us to do, share the knowledge and teach it. So with all the politics, we just ignore it. It's not important to us because we're doing exactly what Imperato asks us to do. KSCI can say anything they want. If we have freedom of speech, they can do that anytime they want. But they have to understand that false accusation does not bring us together as one family. I have a quote, and that quote is, as one family, we fight with each other, we eat together, and we forgive each other. And those are three things that we need to keep in our mind so that we can be one family. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk bad things about me because I'm helping Senior Grandmaster Hemenes with his organization. At first, I said no. But because of the other two individuals that are no longer part of the organization, he came to me and asked me for help. And I said I would. I would help anybody who needed help in KAJUKENBO, whether you're KSCI, whether you're KAA, whatever organization, I would help. And that's what Emperor wanted us to do. So instead of bad mountain, be more humble. Come together as one. And, stop making false accusations. It don't bother us because we're doing what we're doing and we're going to move forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Senior Grandmaster Hemenes.
Yeah, as well said, Senior Grandmaster New. Like I said, you hit it right on the head. We're out, the WWKF, we're out here to help everybody. Even if you're not KAJUKENBO, we still bring you in. We try to teach you KAJUKENBO. Good example, we have a student that was with us, represents the United Kingdom. I said, you need to learn the Gaylord method and all the pinions. Within 1 week time, he had most opinions down. That's how hard he worked. And he's not KAJUKENBO, but he's trying to learn KAJUKENBO. And that's what we're here for. Just like Senior Grandmaster New has his organization too. Grandmaster Willis has his organization. Well, we're here to help each other. We're not here to outdo anybody. But when we hear slander, and this is my point of view, like we're one of the largest federations in the world right now. But everybody that's in our federation, I look at them as family. So when they attack our family, they get it back. I protect our family. And so sometimes, I speak the truth and they don't want to hear it, and so they get mad. But I'd rather speak the truth than tell a lie. Because if I tell a lie, it'll keep going on and on and on and on. People question my rank, then they question Senior Grandmaster New's part in KAJUKENBO, and it's ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And the people that are questioning it, they weren't even probably born, or they were little kids when we were black belts already. And those are the people that are questioning it. Now, on this thing we talk about, if they can take somebody's rank away, another organization. And our Worldwide KAJUKENBO Federation, that's one thing, that one rank I won't accept. Anybody comes to us and they say they're a 10th degree, I usually just delete them right off the bat. But you got to practice what you preach. Like, for example, CJ wants no more 10th degrees. The KSCI allowed 2 10th degrees being promoted by the KAA. And I'm going to say this without, I'm not disrespecting Dichi, but she had to be taken away from promoting people because she was charging everybody for the money. That's their organization. Now, I didn't come to them when they started doing that and look what you're doing. Didn't do that. Everybody's seen it for themselves. But just recently, and I'm not going to mention no names, one of our grandmasters, one of his black belts wanted to join KSGI, which our grandmaster had promoted him to 5th degree. He came to him as a 3rd, and then he wound up getting a 5th degree under him. Well, Glenn Pacelli tells the guy, yes, you can come under KSDI, but we're not going to recognize those last 2 degrees by so-and-so. And the so-and-so is a KSDI member. So that's what the point I'm getting at is what gives, and I'm going to say his name, Glenn Ficelli, the right to tell anybody that we're not going to accept those 2 degrees from that person, even though that person belongs to KSDI. That's being a hypocrite. Now, I'm going to say it the way I feel because you've asked for Glenn Ficelli's help and he didn't help you back. He's a grandmaster in KAJUKENBO. I was told he's a Shotokan. If he went to throw stones on everybody's certificates and everybody's what he can't do, what he can do, I want to see Glenn Ficelli's KAJUKENBO certificates from a white belt all the way up to grandmaster, which Dichi gave him as grandmaster. As far as I know, he's no KAJUKENBO, he's a Shotokan. So how can KAJUKENBO and KSDI let him be a grandmaster? I think that's more of an insult than anything. But yet they point their fingers at everybody else. And that's the problem I have. So when they attack one of our guys, they're going to get it back. You know, and like I said, in our group, we don't attack each other like they did with this person. We help each other in our groups. And that's what they need to learn to do. You know, because, you know, it's just not fair. And nobody has the right to say, well, we're not going to accept those 2 degrees. Why? Well, because why? Well, we're not going to do that. You need to, we need to watch you first. So you're questioning another grandmaster. And they're not questioning me. They're questioning one of their grandmasters they promoted. So to me, that's the biggest insult that any organization can upon on one of their own people. And that's the way I feel about it. And you know, so like I said, you know, don't throw stones in glass houses. So, you know, that's just my part on that part. So Dave.
So I'm curious, you know, I think too that one of the things that that I'd mentioned here, I think to you, Senior Grandmaster, recently was a recent video that I made about politics and infighting, and I think it was politics, infighting, standards and belt requirements is the title of the video that I made. I had gotten a comment back from somebody, and obviously this person must have been a KAA member because their statement, they latched onto one statement that I made, and really I didn't claim to be Gaylord method. I said that Senior Grandmaster Hemenes had told me, you will learn the Gaylord method, right? When he took me under his wing several years ago. So, you know, and that's one of those things where, yeah, I came from originally from Sid Lopez and then Tim Gagne, where I had learned the Lopez method, which is completely different than the Gaylord method. In fact, one of my latest videos where I showed a choke, that was the Lopez method, completely different than the Gaylord method. But it's still, you know, a very good technique. Okay. So I've had a unique opportunity, I think, through my time in, you know, the last 40 years of my journey to getting black belt. Okay. I always call myself the 40-year black belt, which is kind of ironic because, you know, I think that's one of the requirements that, you know, people say it is to be a grandmaster in KAJUKENBO. But hey, it took me 40 years just to get my black belt. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
So throughout my journey, I've studied a lot of
and you didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, you know, so it is what it is, you know, but I mean, throughout that 40 years, you know, I studied in some other schools too, you know, I mean, I was in Vince Black's school for a couple months in San Diego, California. Didn't know it was Vince Black's school back then because I think one of his students was running the school at the time. But when I asked Senior Grandmaster Forback, you know, who in San Diego and La Mesa, California had a chiropractor's table in their school, because I didn't remember it, I hadn't been there long enough. I want to say the guy, the Sifu's name was Chris, but I'm not positive. So, you know, I've learned a lot of different things. So I've got some original method techniques under my belt that, you know, in fact, I did one of my grab arts wrong. And you're like, where'd you learn that, Dave? I'm like, I'm not sure where I got it from there, Senior Grandmaster. And then I, you know, went back through, I think I was looking at the Forback tapes or something. And I was like, that's where I got that from. That was an original method thing. you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, okay, I get it, you know. So I've got a nice mixture, plus I got all the Lopez requirements and things like that. You know, so I'd
Well,
like
I read the comments that guy made, which is again they do it under a hidden name. It's a bunch of numbers and seafood, and talking crap about me and stuff like that. And they're saying things that they're talking out of their ass. Like for example, they said, "Oh, you've only been in Gator for 28 years. You left." I left the KAA. I left the KAA. I never left Great Grandmaster Gaylord. I talked to Great Grandmaster Gaylord when I left the KAA, and it was because of something that happened, and I didn't want to be involved in the KAA because I never did anything. It became a joke. That's why I left. But I told Great Grandmaster Gaylord, and back there because I called him Professor, I'm not leaving you. I just don't want to be part of the association. Okay. And then this is the funny thing is that when he passed, I had Ron Estella come up to me. Oh my God, Tony, you need to come back. You need to come back. You need to come back. I'm all, why is that? I was like, nah, you need to come back. He goes, Melchor Chavez is trying to take over the KAA, and it should be Jim Juarez, and da 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 da. We need you back. You know, we need your support. Da 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 da. So I was like, well, I don't know, maybe, you know, because at that time I know Grandmaster Gaylord had told me he did not want Jim Juarez. At one point he did, but at the end he did not want him to take over the association. He didn't say who he wanted, but he said he did not want Jim Juarez. But I didn't want to bring that part up. So I told Ron Estella, well, it should be Juarez because Juarez is, you know, is his senior. Okay. So then they have I said, okay, I'll let you know in a week or so. And I get a call from Pete Morales. Oh, hey, guess what? He goes, they had a meeting and they kicked out you, Jimmy Willis, and Vargas out the KAA. I go, well, I just started laughing. I go, well, I haven't been part of the KAA for a few years. And why Grandmaster Willis? He didn't do anything to them. And they had Vargas' stuff from the newspapers on there. I go, that's ridiculous. And all of them are there. Ron Estella that wanted me there, and he's the one that voted us to be just taken out. Now, who they took out, I'm not bragging, but they took out the two, not counting Vargas, the two top KAA people that represented Gaylord all over the United States competing. That's who they took out. So they were pretty silly on that part, you know. And it just got to the point it got ridiculous. That's the kind of stuff that we have to go through, you know, and that's why I didn't want to go through this stuff, you know. So when I hear people like that, like they make their little comments, and it's the KAA people because the way they're talking and stuff like that, they don't know what they're talking about. Not at all. Me and Great Grandmaster Gaylord had many talks, just me and him on the phone. You know, he wanted things done, I took care of it for him. We had our differences, you know, towards the end a little bit, you know, and I regret that, but you know, I've never left his side. And then they come back with, well, Vargas is one that promoted you, so your belt don't count. Well, if my belt don't count, then that means Jim Juarez's belt don't count. That means all of his black belts don't count. That means the whole bottom of that family tree is taken off. So see, they can't do that. You know, Imperator and those guys kicked out Vargas because he was gay. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know, and so that's the kind of silly stuff that doesn't need to be done, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, you know, without getting into details and stuff, I mean, I know that the whole Vargas thing, you know, I mean, obviously they basically kicked him out because of, you know, allegations versus,
Yeah.
you know, allegations were made with respect to abusing a child.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the point that I've told Woody Sims this. I've told all those guys the same thing. Did he do it? I don't know. I was not there.
Yeah.
None of us was there in that thing. Now he got proven innocent. How he got off with that's maybe a different way. But he was proven innocent. If you pull up Gabriel Michael Vargas, his record is clean. He can teach children anything he wants. Again, I don't know if he did it or not. You don't know. Nobody in the KSCI, none of those guys know what he did. None of them.
And just to say the would-be comments that are going to come off of that statement, He wasn't found guilty, okay, because no trial took place. So when you say he was
It was
proven
dropped. The case was dropped.
yeah, in the United States of America, you're innocent until proven guilty. Okay, not
Yeah.
you have to be proven innocent.
I call it the kind of the O.J. Simpson case.
Well, and there's a lot of people though that they're they're going to jump on that and they're going to be start doing that
Sure.
politics. Okay, but here's another thing: why is it that we're still talking about Vargas and what he may or may not have done?
Of course.
Why do we keep bringing up the stain on KAJUKENBO, whether it's true or not? Okay, and the actions that were taken as a result. Okay, whether they were the right thing to do or not. Okay, and I'm not going to make a judgment either way. Obviously, if the guy is, not good with kids, he shouldn't be around kids. Okay. And it's not something we should joke about either. So when you see they make a comment about somebody needs to get some counseling because they may or may not have been abused, okay, I take offense to that. Okay, you know that 1 in 20 individuals, okay, in the United States today will be molested by the time they're 18 years old.
Sure.
Okay, or a victim of sexual assault by the time they're 18 years old. Okay, that's a statistic. That's a fact. Okay, and when we have KAJUKENBO black belts, okay, who make statements like that, okay, and cause a political shitstorm, for lack of a better term, in one of our KAJUKENBO rooms, okay, and then the only thing that gets looked at is what's said on this side of the conversation, that's unsatisfactory. Okay. I have yet to know of one instance where Senior Grandmaster has just talked shit to somebody to talk shit to somebody. Usually it's a result of something someone else said.
100%.
Make that clear. And whether you like the guy or not is immaterial. Okay. He's a Senior Grandmaster in KAJUKENBO. Whether you recognize his rank or not, that's immaterial. He was promoted by 5 separate Grandmasters, okay, who did think he deserved to be a Grandmaster. So whether you think he did or not,
well-known Grandmasters, not just anybody.
one of which is on this phone call.
Yeah. and they even said that I had one guy say that Al DeCosco's signature was forged. Well, Senior Grandmaster knew it was there when Al signed it. I mean,
yes, absolutely. He signed it.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to get Senior Grandmaster Al DeCoscos to weigh in on this too. That'd be cool. But so far he hasn't.
But personally, I don't care what anybody thinks. I had one who, and it was one of the KA members because it came from them. Let's say Vargas molested me when I was a kid. My mom and dad molested me when I was a little kid. Well, I just like, wow. First of all, how would that person know if my mom and dad molested me? Number two, on my children's lives, Senior Grandmaster Vargas has never tried to touch me, ever. So I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, Grandmaster Willis was with Senior Grandmaster Vargas too. He never tried to attack Grandmaster Willis, but they post stuff like that. And it's so laughable, but then you're gonna get somebody out there that's gonna believe it. Just like I wouldn't know what your mom and dad did. I wouldn't know what your mom and dad did with you. How in the hell would I know? But yet I got somebody from the KAA saying that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's why the KAA is like this. Nothing. Because they do stuff like that. Instead of hopping on the bandwagon to help, I got the little kids on there talking shit like that.
Well, and I gotta say that, when this whole interchange took place, I brought that to the Senior Grandmaster. Okay. At least I'm gonna call him Senior Grandmaster. I don't know if he is or isn't, because he's part of the BOA now, as well. And said, hey, your guys are talking shit, and this is what they said. And I'm just saying, hey, you might want to talk to him and let him know that, that's not the right conversation to be having an open chat. It doesn't make us look good, that kind of thing. And he goes, well, I'm happy. I'm proud of my guys.
That was one of Stella that said that.
They didn't think should happen. Well, and I'm like, that's not what they're doing. All they're doing is they're talking trash, and they're trying to dot people in the eye. Okay. You don't accuse somebody of being sexually assaulted, okay, and laugh about it, by the way.
Exactly. It's not a funny thing to laugh about.
and you know, well, and the same guy, and in response to my chat where I said something to that effect, he said something how he had talked to the individual and da 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 da, it was true and blah blah blah. Lots of laughs in his comment. I could throw the screenshot up, but I won't do that now. That's in another video that is yet to be published. And I'm trying to decide whether I should or shouldn't. And I've been trying really hard to be politically correct and to just bring up the issues and not throw stones. Okay, but when I throw stones, I'll show you the proof. Okay, I've got screenshots of this conversation. Okay, I've got screenshots of a lot of conversations from a lot of people. Okay, that have cast a lot of stones.
Sure.
Some of them in the direction of CJO.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys want to continue down this road, I'll be more than happy to throw the nuclear option and share it with the world. Okay, but I don't think that's in the best interest of KAJUKENBO. Okay, I think what needs to happen, okay, is the leadership in KAJUKENBO, okay, needs to start leading. Stop just holding a rank on paper.
Sure.
Okay, step up, take charge of your people, take charge of your organizations. Okay, and get them in line, you know, and what kills me is when we're talking about a couple of promotions that these guys didn't believe in, and I heard one of your students again, Senior Grandmaster, not either of you two, but the one I was just referencing, throw out the term
He's not a senior grandmaster, he's only a
business
grandmaster.
decision. Okay,
Yeah.
and another video recently. Okay. So we can't just let things lie the way they were and say, okay, Roger that, things are done. They're, you know, what are you gonna do now? They're done. Okay, and move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, his entire group of black belts have yet to make one black belt. Okay. And yet one of them just got promoted to 7th degree. Okay. Don't you have to have your black belt? Don't you have to make a black belt before you start getting those higher ranks?
Yeah, and then he even admitted that he hadn't trained in 6-7 years, and yet they still promoted him to 7th degree. But that's okay because they did it.
Which is this, by the way, this black belt that we just talking about is the same one that was casting these stones about Senior Grandmaster being sexually assaulted in a chat room. So let's reward that guy. Let's promote him. That sounds like a good idea.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe that's why the politics is going on, because we reward people who cast the stones in the right direction. You know,
if anybody was really intelligent enough, they would see who's saying these things, and they would just consider the source. Because I'll be honest with you, if I wouldn't allow none of my black belts, none of them, talk to Ron Estella that way. Never. I don't care what Ron did. I would never have been, because it's disrespectful. Because you know, did Ron Estella earn his Grandmaster belt? Well, sure, he's been in it long enough. Of course he did. You know, so I give him that respect, and I don't want any of my black belts, no matter what he did, to say the things that his black belts has said to me, especially lower belts, like that little kid from Japan. You know, they don't know what they're talking about. They only hear from one person, their teacher. And like I said, I would never allow any of my black belts talk to somebody that way, ever.
That's true.
What do you think, Mr. Grandmaster, Senior Grandmaster News, since they're talking shit about you too, so.
Oh yeah, I woke up that one morning and I saw this post and I said, oh, another one? Well, that's okay. They don't know what they're talking about. Plus I didn't have my cup of coffee yet.
Yeah, but you know
so
what?
I called Senior Grandmaster there and I says, well, you send me this kind of stuff, man. Wait till I have a cup of coffee first.
well, even like with Seafood Dave here, he said, "Oh, should I remove their comment?" I said, "No, leave it on there. Makes them look stupid. It makes them look stupid. You know, don't take it off. I go let them leave it on there. You know, I mean, it's just it's just ridiculous. Like I said, you know, the only thing that was taken off, and I know you didn't do that. It had to be Ron. That one post that Ron said he wanted to take over KCI, and everybody had to go through him. Boy, he should took that post off real fast. The thing when he put it up, that thing came, and then you know they think it's just like when they promoted Melchor Chavez and Jim Moore as a 10th degree. I can care less, to be honest with you. They can get him a fucking 11th degree. I don't care. It means nothing to me. But like I was talking to you about it today, when it happened, I got the phone calls because I was, the
Yeah.
Worldwide KAJUKENBO Federation. They thought I promoted them both to 10th degree. And they were all jumping on my ass because why would you do that when CJO said no more 10th degrees? And I explained to them, I said, no, it was not me. It was the OKA that did it. And then I had asked Ron, and he said that he got their approval by the KSCI to give them a 10th degree, that they all approved it. Now, I got pictures. I did this on my computer because when they were sent to me, I got Jesse Corpus and Glenn Filicelli hugging him at the promotion, and they're on the board of BOA. And I got a hold of Forback, and I told him that. He goes, that's not true because we never approved that. He goes, he just said no more 10th degrees. I go, that's what was told to me. Well, what can I do? That's their organization. I go, then you need to write a letter saying the KSCI did not approve these promotions, because then you're going to you're sticking up for what CJO wanted. I don't care what they promoted those guys. I mean, that's their business. I have nothing against Jim Juarez. I have nothing against Milcor Chavez, but what is right is right. What's wrong is wrong. That's why I look at it.
No. Well, that's the thing too, and throughout these conversations that I've been having, because I've been reaching out to people and trying to talk to them and trying to get things better and trying to patch things up. And, I've been told by several people, never going to happen, and it probably isn't because, hatred seems to be stronger than what's right, and I think that's one of the things that KAJUKENBO is missing these days is people aren't teaching the mental and spiritual side of things anymore, and teaching that respect, thing that is such a huge part of the martial arts, and I think part of that is because of the movement to the MMA movement. Let me just put it that way, because I think that essentially, like MMA, does not seem to mean what you'd think it means because it stands for mixed martial arts. Well, KAJUKENBO is a mixed martial art. Well, there's another entity in KAJUKENBO who says that KAJUKENBO is not MMA because MMA is UFC. Okay, so now the UFC has seemed to hijack the term MMA. And so many KAJUKENBO practitioners have added Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, ground, or we'll just say ground fighting, to what they teach in KAJUKENBO, which isn't a bad thing. Okay, however, that mental aspect that comes from MMA gyms versus martial arts gyms, completely different, because the bravado and the shit talking that comes out of an MMA gym versus what's in martial arts. Because structured martial arts has a hierarchy to it. It has almost like a militaristic aspect to it, where the rank matters, respect matters.
Sure.
One of my big things that I try to teach my students is respect everyone. Why? Because that may keep you from getting your ass kicked or killed. Because you being a disrespectful piece of crap to somebody may get you shot in today's society.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
So part of that self-defense thing, and I will go and say mindset, okay, in that you need to be thinking about your actions and the repercussions of your actions when you're interacting with other people. Okay. Well, the MMA gym doesn't do that because while you're in a controlled environment, you're in a sport environment. There's rules, right? I can't kick you in the balls. Okay. I mean, things like that. I mean, there's certain things that you just can't do. I can't scratch your eyes out. I can't friggin' eye rake you, can't stick my thumbs in your eyes, but in the street, all that's perfectly fine. There are no rules. Okay. So there is no repercussions, I guess, in the MMA world, unless I'm just a better fighter than you and I kick your ass.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing, so, and then, you'll see them on the weigh-ins all the time. They're always spouting stuff out their mouths to try to get a reaction and try to get the other guys fired up and everything else.
Yeah. They hype up for the money because they make a lot of money. That's why.
Yeah.
It's not,
And that's what it is. It's trying to sell tickets, trying to get people, oh, I got to see this match. This is going to be a good one, right?
Yeah.
The last second pay-per-view purchase,
Yeah.
kind
See,
of thing.
for me, to be honest with you, but this is just my opinion. This is my opinion. I'd rather watch a good boxing match than watching the MMA because it's just who's welling away, who you can beat the guy every round, and then the guy chokes you out at the end. I found that when it first came out, that it kind of actually hurt martial arts a little bit, because when I say it hurt martial arts a little bit, was that all the young kids, they didn't want to learn the forms. They didn't want to learn that kind of. They wanted to grapple. They seen the guys on TV grapple. They see them choke them out. There's nothing wrong with learning all that, but you gotta learn the other stuff with it. And then the kids, because a lot of other studios, we talked about it. Well, yeah, they didn't want to come into forms night, or they didn't want to come into a regular sparring night. All they want to do is come into grappling. So a lot of studios, transferred over to like more of the grappling and stuff like that. Well, there's nothing wrong with learning grappling. Of course, it's great. But you have to have the whole, for me, you have to have the whole ball of wax to learn, just not part of it. And a lot of the MMA guys, they're great fighters, but are they real black belts? I mean, when I first started, Hank Abbott, he wasn't a black belt. He was just a street fighter. But he'd go in there and kick the shit out of you, and a big old fat dude kick the shit out of you because he was just one of those guys, So, I made a lot of people a lot of rich. So I guess, more power to him, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, you hear people, and some pretty notable people in KAJUKENBO, which, state things such as like, yeah, well, I don't teach forms. I don't teach any punch counters. I don't teach any grab arts. I don't teach the alphabets. Okay. I just teach the fundamentals. So basically what they're saying is I only teach people how to fight using the fundamentals, right? But yet you've got people that are 8th degree black belts in KAJUKENBO, right? Because they were successful, right, in the UFC.
Yeah, or you got, I'm not being a dick, but then you got Glenn Pacelli, Jiu-Jitsu the grandmaster, and he doesn't know nothing about KAJUKENBO. And he's telling everybody what to do in KAJUKENBO. That's what just, it kind of just blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah, but the point being though is okay, yeah, maybe we do need standards, right? Right. So this might be a good segue into something here. I mean, we talked a little bit about these guys a little bit earlier, where they talk about the KAJUKENBO Congress. Okay. And I'm all good. I'm all for that, right? If everybody's represented. Okay.
Exactly.
So imagine the world, and I said this in another video too, is imagine the United States if we decide, well, Oregon and Washington, no, you don't get no representation. No. But you know what? We're going to make some rules and we're going to make some laws, and you're going to follow them.
You can follow them.
Right? So KAJUKENBO Congress should not be all of us coming together, right, to enforce what we think is right, and excluding those people we don't like, right? And I kind of feel like that's kind of what's happened here with the, like with our organization, okay? They don't like us. Why that is, I don't care why. Okay. But they don't like us. They decide, the WWKF, WWKA. Okay. That one guy that we were talking about earlier, or person, the unknown person that made the comment on that video, said, well, if you're really the Gaylord method, then you would naturally succumb or submit to the KAA. I'm like, submit to the KAA? My response to him was, okay, wait a minute here. So what you're trying to impress on me is you're trying to tell me that now associations are mandatory. Now the association has to recognize my rank. Now the association has to bless me and say, you're official. You are officially teaching this method of KAJUKENBO. No,
well,
I think
and then what makes it, that's a funny statement, because you're under me, which I was one of Gaylord's top black belts. I wasn't a paper black belt like Tim Garnier, didn't really train, but they gave him a grandmaster. That's a paper black belt. Okay. Me, Jim Juarez, Brian Yoshi, Pete Morales, Bill Gifford, we all started in the Fremont studio doing black belt classes. That's his original people. You know, and
Yeah.
you got these guys that come out later on down the line, you know, oh yeah, you know, I trained with him going, yeah, I trained with Gator over 30 years. Well, that's shit you did. You're a liar. You never trained him with 30 years. You know, you understood Lopez, you know, and then KA gives him a grandmaster. So that's a paper black belt, a grandmaster. That's not coming from Gator. That's a paper grandmaster.
Well, and the thing about that, I mean, you know, I could, you know, and I've made a lot of I don't say, I wanted to say contradictions, but that's not the right word. Comparisons, you know, with like myself, you know, I mean, I think I even said this in that my reply to that comment was, well, you know, I myself, right, I started under Sid Lopez, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I studied under him for, you know, 5.5 years, including the time that I was under Seabach Gagne.
Yeah.
You know, when he was, you know, kind of came in and took over about probably the last year of that in the Newber school. He was showing up. Sid Lopez wasn't showing up. From what I
Sure.
understand, Sid had some personal issues that were going on at that time, and that's why he wasn't there.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I'm no different than Grandmaster Gagne is and going over to the Gaylord method. I mean, because I came over to the WWKF and you promoted me to my first black belt. Okay.
Yeah, but you also train, and I could critique you all the time on your training. So you are working out with me. You know,
yeah.
it just yeah. I mean, you are working out with me. I don't think Kelly Gaylord went over there and taught Tim Gagne's opinions.
Yeah. Well, you know,
You know.
yeah, you know, so I mean, there's, you know, I mean, I don't want to, you know, I guess turn it into a, you know, a thing. But you know, I mean, there's a lot of shit talking going on. It goes that way, you know, and my thought process though is what authority does an association have? And in my opinion, they have the authority that the members give it. Okay. So like the how do I explain this? I guess, you know, because an association is not a mandatory thing. An association is a voluntary organization.
Mhm.
And it usually says it even in their bylaws, you know, that there's a bunch of in fact, I think the KA says something about like-minded martial artists that came together to share and that and everything else, right? But it's not a mandatory thing, you know, and to me, I'm kind of wondering. I mean, and I don't want to question, you know, at the same time, but I do, you know. I mean, an association, right, is a voluntary thing. Your instructor is who promotes you, right? Not the association. Okay, now your instructor may belong to an association, or even in my case, run an association or a federation. Okay.
Yeah.
And I might be a part of that. Okay. But that's not where my promotion comes from. My promotion comes from my instructor.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just like if let's say when KSDI black belts came under us, let's say Kenji, I'll use Kenji for example. If they came, when Kenji's black belt, say I want to be under you guys, and I go, what degree you are? And he goes, I'm a 5th degree. I would never go, well, you come back, we'll take you in as a 3rd degree. I wouldn't do that because senior grandmaster Kenji promoted him to 6th degree. That's what I'd recognize him at, as a 6th degree, because he came from, you know, lineage, and you know, when he came from, you know, KSDI, you know, that's, you know, I would never tell anybody like that, well, you know, we're not going to promote you. Well, I mean, we're not going to recognize you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I give it, like, I know you don't have to put it up right now, but I know you have the list that they put up of all KSDI senior grandmasters and professors. Well, when we got our grandmaster belt, me and Sid Lopez, senior grandmaster Vargas wanted us to join KSDI. I said no. I don't want any part of them because of the crap they pull. And the Vargas is all, no. I want you and Sid to be part of it because this is politically right that you guys da.
This list?
Yeah, that list. Yeah. So anyway, so I filled out both applications. Now you can see Sid Lopez's name up there. Now Sid, don't fill out paperwork very good. So I filled out his, I filled out mine, side by side. I put the same exact date. Let's say I put January 10th, whatever the year it was. Same exact date to the penny. Well, next day, Vargas goes, well, I got the answer from KSDI. I go, well, what's that? Well, they accepted Sid, but declined you. I said, declined me? I go, wow, that declined me. So then he's all, I go, you gotta be kidding me. I go, my compliments is like 10 times more, but and it's the same date. So then I see Kenji at the KSDI tournament a day or so later. And I tell Kenji, I said, hey, let me ask you a question. I go, why would you guys accept Sid, not me? Oh, well, that's because you didn't have enough time in. I go, that's kind of funny because I put the same exact date as Sid Lopez because I filled out Sid Lopez's paperwork for him. The answer I got from Kenji was, don't worry about it, Hemenes. We'll catch you next year. And my exact words goes, no, you won't. Because I didn't want to be part of you from the very beginning. But that's the answer I got. See, that's the part I'm talking about. When someone tries to play God, who likes who brings somebody in, but we don't like that guy, but we like this guy, and they got the same exact qualifications, if not one that's got more. So that to me, that's them playing God, in politics.
Looking at this list, it doesn't look like either that any of the leadership of any of the organizations are on here.
Well, I don't know who made the list. I know, is that Kenji's list?
Oh yeah, well this is something Rick Kenji posted a little while back, December 5th of last year. So right at the end of last year, he posted this list. So I said, oh,
well, I know the KAA is under KSDI now. So where's all their people?
Yeah, so they're not on here. I don't see Kelly Gaylord on here. I don't see Grandmaster Gagne on here. I don't see any of the BOA members on here. Ron Steller's not on here.
It might have been it could have been the old list.
Well, who knows? Well, this is just he posted it December 5th of last year. So, and it's kind of weird because his original the first post is all the way on the right, and it's just the way when I saved it to my computer, I guess it saved like this.
Maybe he had a few before he posted it.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's a pretty small list right there. And there's a lot of grandmasters in KAJUKENBO, right? But
yeah.
And Sid Lopez was not KSDI. Well, he might have been a member of KSDI as well. Because that's another thing, I mean, you could be a member, of several organizations if you want. I mean, what's to stop somebody from being a member of all of them,
Yeah.
So there's another thing. So, you got to be a member of the KAA. That's what I was told recently, right? I must submit to the KAA. Submit.
Well, I know. A while back, Glenn Pacelli put down, and I talked to Kenji about that, and Kenji said he shouldn't have put that on there. I'll call it the way it is because Kenji did say he shouldn't have put that there. He put down that if you're not KSDI or BOA, you're not recognizing KAJUKENBO. Well, that's ridiculous. That means myself, Robert Senior, I'm new. Aldo Costco, none of those guys are recognized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aldo Costco wasn't on that list either, and I find that really odd since he let's see, Aldo Costco, helped Sijo develop Toon Pai, Chun Fa, and then he's the founder of Wonhap Gundo, but he's not on there. Neither is the other Sifu Al. He's not on there either.
What do you think about that, Senior? Senior new?
I'm taken back by the list, but it's okay because that's Kenji's list. I mean, Senior Grandmaster Kenji's list. Everybody out there knows who the grandmasters are, and KSDI doesn't. I mean, they have the right to say they don't have to recognize who they want. That's fine, but it doesn't make it. There's no value in what they're saying because everybody else recognizes it.
Yeah.
It's only one organization. But let me add something to this. One of the biggest problems we're faced with is the seniors. It's not the lower ranks because the lower ranks, they learn from their teachers. And what we fail to do as seniors is be the example. if you're being an example like you're supposed to be, your students will follow suit. But if you're going to be a jerk, or you're going to be a troublemaker, they're going to follow everything you do.
Yeah.
So, you know, the key to this organizational thing, it doesn't matter which organization you're in, is be the example, because your students are watching you. If you're going to be the Budweiser group and you're going to walk around drinking beer, knock it off, because people are watching, you know. Whoa, those guys, a bunch of alcoholics, you know. I don't want my kids to go to that school, you know. So, and it also sets a bad example for KAJUKENBO. You know, I see it all the time in a lot of the events. It's the same people.
Yep, 100%.
Same people.
I was shocked when I seen that. I'm like, oh my God, you're kidding me. Walking around a seminar like that, you know, just tripped me out, you know.
Yeah.
Walking a seminar with a beer in your hand?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, two of them were.
Wow.
Budweiser.
What? No, say it isn't true. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that. You know, granted, I'm just, you know, a lowly third degree.
And me and seniors not the only ones that brought this up. Other people brought it up. So just not us, you know, picking on them.
Yeah.
Other people brought it up going, hey, what's going on? That's not cool, you know. I mean, at a seminar with kids like that, you know, it just doesn't show a good example.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's certain things that, you know, have their time and place. You know, I mean, we go to a seminar or something. Okay, after seminar's done, hey, let's go get a beer, guys. You know, cool. Everybody
Sure.
in the bar and has a good time. You know, all drink together, you know, like a family. That's what we do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're, you know, talking about KAJUKENBO, you know, heck, the Clover's mind, body, and spirit, right? Where does alcohol fit into mind, body, and spirit? You know, it kind of dilutes that, I think, a little bit. And I know it diluted my body quite a bit when, you know, I drank as much as I did before I came to Italy.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you know, a lot of the old time KAJUKENBO guys, you know, they used to hit the bottle. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't drink, but great Grandmaster Gail, before he come over and teach class at my studio, he'd take a swig or two in the car, and then in my back office I had a bar just because I had other business in there too, and he'd let me have a swig before class, you know, but he never walked out there with it in his hand or a beer in his hand, you know, but. You know, that, I mean, I didn't trip on that, you know, but a lot of the old time Hawaiian guys, they like hitting their bottle.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
it probably numbs the full contact sparring kind of thing that we like to typically get into. Even if we start off with saying, hey, a light contact, well, it never ends that way.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, well, I don't really drink, you know, but every once in a while, you know, one or two, but you know, but I'm just a lightweight. But even during the day when I had my studio, my cousin would come over and he'd go, "Come on, cuz, let's go down the street to the bar and play some pool and have a beer." I'll go down and play pool, but I can't have a beer. Why not? I go, well, I have class tonight. Well, it's only like 1 o'clock. I go, yeah, but I can't have any parents smell any alcohol on me.
Yeah.
You know, and that was just my thing, you know, and I had to kick out. I didn't kick him out. I made him leave when I'm quitting. One of my black belts, he used to come to class smelling like alcohol really bad, and I had to tell him don't do that because the parents can smell it, and so, you know how some parents are. And then next day he came in even worse, so I sent him home, and then he wound up leaving because I sent him home. But I just can't have that. I mean, that's just my rule, and I know Vargas was the same way. He was by the book. You know, I mean, after class, sure, they ordered pizza, they bought beer. I mean, they had a fun time.
Heck, I remember Sid giving me crap because he looked at me and said, "You've been smoking, haven't you?"
Yeah.
How do you know? It coming out in your pores. You shouldn't do that to your body.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was talking to Tom Theonopoulos a while back, and we were talking about, like, you know, and I guess he was the same way. He didn't get invited to parties from the students and stuff, or like the class guys. And I was thinking with me, they wouldn't invite me. I'm thinking to myself, I got my feelings hurt. I'm thinking, how come I never get invited to like a Halloween party the guys are having? So one of my black guys took me inside. He goes, well, you know, they call me Secret sometimes. They go, Secret, you know, we know you don't smoke weed and stuff like that. He goes, and the guys feel funny smoking weed in front of you. I go, well, I'm not a stick in the mud. You know, you just can't come to class like that. Yeah, but they feel funny because you're, you know, who you are, you know, so that's why you're not invited. And Tom was tell Tom the same story, and Tom goes, yeah, they wouldn't invite me either. He goes, I've got guy feelings hurt too, because he was the same way. He didn't do stuff like that, you know. But it is what it is, I guess, you know.
Yeah. So it's
But
kind of
yeah,
it's kind of amazing, really, you know. I mean, but it, you know, somehow we got onto this. I'm not sure how. You know, but you know, we were talking about standards too, though. You know, I mean, okay, so this whole KAJUKENBO Congress thing and standards and everything else. You know, I mean, I'm kind of curious of what your guys' take is on that, obviously. And you know, just
well,
kind of
I think they should have like a summit.
yeah,
Like we're gonna have a summit this year with all our guys from around the world are gonna come. They're probably gonna come to Lake Tahoe, and we're all gonna come down, and we're gonna, you know, and yourself too, you know, we're all gonna come down and teach and have a big meeting with all the heads of all the studios from all over the world. The KAJUKENBO should do the same thing. They should get the head of KSDI. They can have, you know, the two of their people. We can have two of people. So and so can have two of their people. So and so, and have a big summit so everybody gets together. Instead of just having one thing, so then this guy, they control everything. Like he said, oh, we only accept the KSDI people. Well, that's not the way it should be. You know, even in the world right now, when they have a summit, all the different countries get together. You know, and we have that big meeting for the United States. The same thing with the martial arts in KAJUKENBO. We should have, you know, a representative, one or two, usually probably two, maybe three of each organization. Meet at a central location. No fighting, no arguing. Just sit down and work things out, and make a rule. This is not going to happen. We're not going to talk bad about this person. We're not going to talk bad about this person. We're going to support each other, so KAJUKENBO can grow and be strong. Now, will that happen? Probably never. But there's too many egos. But we will never know unless we try.
yeah.
And that's the way I think it should be done. You know, but it's easier for someone to talk crap on a keyboard and send a text talking shit about somebody than to stand right in front of their face and go, "Oh, you're not a black belt, or you're not a this, or you're not a that, or you got molested when you were by your mom and dad when you were fucking 3." You know, they're not going to do that because they just won't do it. You know, what do you think, Senior?
Well, standards are good, but it's how it's written. You know, it's got to benefit everybody as a whole. It's got to have value to it, and you know, of course, you're going to have people that agree with it and disagree with it, and they have their own opinions, and there's misconceptions, and so when if you have the standards, you have to have a group of guys or guys and ladies that are good in thinking. You know, just not any ordinary guy that doesn't have the skills to come up with standards.
Sure.
You know, so yeah, you know, with standards, you have to do. There's a lot of research. You have to see how successful some companies are with their people and how their standards are set forward. Sure. You don't want to copy one company and then their people always never there.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny
yeah, and you know, our organization. I mean, how many things have we done that we donated out to the St. Jude, to the Sri Lanka, the orphanage, which I still need magazine from everybody if they got them and stuff. He asked again. That's what we do. I don't take from nobody. I mean, me and Senior talk about this all the time. A lot of times, you know, like we'll just pay for out of our own pocket the shipping, and the shipping is expensive. You know, but we try to help everybody. I can sit there and nickel and dime everybody to death, and I don't do that. You know, like the T-shirt, the bullying T-shirt. I'm not gonna make a penny on that T-shirt. I'm gonna pay for the T-shirt. I'm gonna pay for the printing, and the $20 that's donated goes straight out to the non-bullying thing at the school. You know, so I try to make it so we help everybody. I don't take anybody. Could I do that? Sure. I can sit there and bleed everybody to death, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like the rest.
Mm.
And that's a lot of comments that I got from a lot of people was, that's what we like about your organization. You don't take. You don't ask for everything, for every little thing. And that's what we try to focus on, and which I think a lot of other people should focus on that too.
Mm. So, to kind of go back to the the thing we were talking about, the KAJUKENBO Congress, you mentioned that Senior Grandmaster Hemenes, you mentioned something that everybody should have 2 to 3 representatives and be a
Sure.
part of said organization. And funny you should say that, because I said the exact same thing to Glenn Fraticelli when I was talking to him about it. And I said, well, there's organizations out there that were not included in this, right? For example, the WW, okay, was not included in this formation of the Congress. I said, so you can't exclude somebody, just because, hey, you don't like them. Hey, I don't like Oregonians, so therefore Oregon's not getting a vote in the Congress in the United States.
Yeah.
I don't like Hawaiians, so Hawaii's not going to be included in the Congress of the United States. No, that doesn't work. That's not a Congress. A Congress is not a Congress if you don't have representation for everybody in your group.
Everybody, right?
Okay. And of course, his response to me was, "Well, get one of the members to sponsor you, and then we'll take a vote." Right? Wait a minute.
They'll take a vote.
Now I got to say, hey, let me butter up somebody and say, hey, can you sponsor me to be a part of this organization? And it shouldn't be that way. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
And to me, I told him, I said, so all the cool kids get to play, but the ones you don't like, when you're speaking about bullying, it's kind of ironic.
Yeah.
It's almost that way, right? And I think granted, I know a lot of the perception of some people is that, you're going to tell them how it is. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's put in nicely, okay, compared to what people have told me. Tell them how it is. You don't care what they think of you, so you just go ahead and say, no, it's this way. This is the way it is. This is, in one way, is a good way, because that's the right thing to do. And I think in a leadership position, a lot more grandmasters need to be that way, right?
Sure.
And need just say, I don't care how I make you feel when I say this, but this is the right thing. Okay, so my military, that's how you do it. They come to me, what do you think? And I wasn't very popular, because I would just say, well, no, that's not right. This is the way it should be. Well, come on, master. No, it ain't that way. Okay. This is how the rules say you're supposed to do it. Okay. You want to do it this way, which is contrary to the rules. No, we don't do it that way. Okay. And it's pretty cut and dry. Same thing should be happening within KAJUKENBO, because martial arts, martial is like kind of like the military, right?
The military, yeah.
Structure. There is a rank structure to it. There's a reason why people are grandmasters, right? Because they've earned that right. Okay. But at the same time, there's a responsibility that comes with that. And that's the problem. Everybody wants the title, everybody wants the prestige, but nobody wants the responsibility.
Yeah.
So the grandmasters that are involved in this, KAJUKENBO Congress, right, need to go, hey, you're right. That's not right. We may not like everybody that's in your organization, but you should have a voice, right?
Sure.
Right, yeah.
We shouldn't be just turning our back on people who are KAJUKENBO. Okay. One of the things that happened to me when we were talking about, the incident of a couple months back in the KAJUKENBO training room, was I was told, well, you'll listen to your senior grandmaster, but you don't listen to any of us. There's so many of us telling you this and that, but you take his side, you don't take our side. I said, no, I'm not taking any sides. Okay. But just like you guys are loyal to your instructors, to your organizations, I'm loyal to mine. Okay. I may not agree with 100% of everything that you do, or 100% of everything that Senior Grandmaster does. Okay, but that doesn't mean I'm going to discount you and say,
Sure.
I'm going to just turn around and walk away because the group says you bad, we good. No,
Yeah.
work that way. Okay, because
Yeah.
you know the vast majority of everything that I have seen, okay, has been good.
Sure.
You know? So I can only speak to how I've been treated. I've only can speak to the standards that I've been told I need to live up to.
Sure.
So there's, standards are important. Okay. But then we'll segue into something that you said, Senior Grandmaster New, and talking about standards of how it's written. How do you make standards for an organization like our own where nobody's the same?
Yeah.
Because you do pinion one way, I do pinion one another way. Senior Grandmaster just pinion one another way. Okay. Now that's going to be how our teachers taught us to do it, right? But then after we get our black belts, right, we're expected to go out, we're expected to continue to grow, we're expected to continue to train. Well, a lot of people go out and they'll learn other martial arts as well on top of KAJUKENBO, and then they'll integrate what they learned there into their KAJUKENBO, right? Which is kind of encouraged, right? To make KAJUKENBO better, make KAJUKENBO stronger, right? But when you talk about writing standards now, how do you take that individual who teaches a lot of, jiu-jitsu along with his KAJUKENBO and make his match mine? And I don't teach any Gracie jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
I don't, I don't like the grappling on the ground kind of thing, but a lot of people do, but when you're talking about street smarts and street survival, I don't believe that rolling around on the ground with somebody is the right thing to do, because
No.
there's a lot of gangs out there, I mean, you think of gangs to be in the past. Well, not here in Italy. There's a lot of gangs, a lot of baby gangs, right? A lot of young kids who run around and wreak havoc, if you got 15 kids around you trying to, do you bodily harm, are you going to roll around on the ground with one of them? Probably not a good idea, so there's probably pros and cons to everything, right? But, that's the tough part, is getting those standards down. Okay, so these are the core things that you must have to call yourself KAJUKENBO.
Yeah. I know the forms that they call the pinion and grab arch and punching attacks. I know for a fact. The what I learned with Vargas in the early 70s went in onto like with Gator and stuff like that, and all the KA people that were there at the time. When we first started it, Jim Moore at the studio, Brian Yoshi's and stuff like that. We all did the pinions the same. Always. Once in a while, someone might leave a brush block out here and there, but it was always the same. We never changed it at all until the very end. Gator kind of started like throwing things out, but we still taught our students the way we was taught years ago. Because I didn't want to change anything, because he starts out here changing something, and you get over here, it's like that, all completely different. So the pinion I learned in 1971 or 72 is the same exact pinion I'm going to teach today. Same thing. For me, there's no, I didn't change nothing. The punching attacks didn't change nothing. And you add whatever you want to add to do your curriculum, but this way it all stays the same. And I know if Brian Yoshi right now does pinion one, he's gonna do the same pinion one. I'm gonna do pinion one, same exact.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, because I know, like me, like I teach, the verbatim, but then I say, okay, after this point, okay, you can ad lib, right? So
sure.
technique is done right here. So generally what I'll do is I'll teach the guy the verbatim, right? Once he learns the verbatim, then I'll say, okay, so now let's add something to it. You can do this now, you can do this, like, punch counter 2, I mean, you can do a takedown on that. You can modify it, to do a different kind of takedown, or you can do this kind of takedown or this kind of takedown, So I show them a couple different ways. Like if his body doesn't do what you want it to do, which you're supposed to make it do what you want it to do. That's why
Yeah.
one of the things I think we
Right.
do in Kajukembo is, you know, when we block, then we control, and then we attack, right? And part of that control is putting that guy's body the way you want it to, so your next attack is going to be effective. You know, so
Sure.
turn him and I'm holding his arm over here. Now I know that when I come in with his hammer fist, I can break his arm with it. You know?
Yeah, no, on a punching attacks and grab bars and stuff, nobody's going to really do that on the street. The guy's not going to stand here with an arm, but we all know that. Everybody knows that. But you have to learn their foundation, you know, and then you build from there. You know, if someone throws a punch, I'm not going to go 1, 2, kick, punch. I'm going to brush and I smack him one, you know, the thing. But you know, you get just the basics down and stuff like that. That's why I get a kick out of Guatemala. Our guys from Guatemala, you know, he says, "Oh, it's senior grandmaster." He goes, "Look, I got Pinion 7 down." He's doing Pinion 7, and I got the biggest tickle out of that because here's this guy across the world, you know, watch our videos, and he's out there doing our pinions, and it's the Gaylord method. You know, and it just kind of just makes me so happy to see that.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what's funny too, because what you just said there just kind of made me think. A lot of people go, well, why do we have so many different methods in Kajukembo? Well, politics is part of that.
Exactly.
The reason why we're the Hemenes method is because a little stink with the, you know, the Gaylord girls about whether or not you should be calling it the Gaylord method. You know, it is the Gaylord method. In fact, it's funny because I make videos and I'm going to put the Hemenes method on it. I get a Gaylord guy, that looks a lot like the Gaylord method.
Yeah,
like, that's because it is.
That's why when she told me I couldn't use Gaylord method, I started laughing at her. I go, you're crazy. I go, he's my teacher for, you know, almost 50 years. I go, and what am I supposed to put down? You know, so then, you know, a lot of my guys in the past had said change it to Hemenes method, you know, because da 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 da. So I did feel funny doing it. I felt, even though Gaylord passed away, I felt like I was betraying him by putting Hemenes method. I did feel that way. It kind of bothered me a little bit. But then after I put the Hemenes method, I got more of a positive reaction from everybody than I did a negative. So it was okay, but you know, it's the Gaylord method. You know, I'm teaching you, but I learned from him.
Yeah.
You know, I can add my stuff to it, but I mean that's what I'm teaching, and so they can squawk all they want. I don't care. I don't care what they say. They're nothing to me. They'll never be any threat to me. So, you know, I know who I trained under. I know who promoted me. I know who you know, was loyal to. You know, so they can make things up all they want, but in my heart, I know better.
Yeah.
You know, and
But,
in fact, one of, I don't want to say his name, I don't want to get in trouble. One of KSGI's top guys told me one time. He said, you know what, Tony, call me Tony. He goes, you know what the problem is? He says they have a hard time because they can't disagree on what you did in Kajukembo. In the 80s, you ruled all the tournaments. You ruled, everybody knew who you were. He goes, and the young people that are coming up now, they don't know any better. He goes, but the older guys, that's the problem they have. They can't turn back and go, well, he's a nobody, because they know better. Because you've done too much. He goes, that's the problem they have. And that was put by one of their seniors.
Yeah.
You know. So
yeah, and I get that because, you know, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people too, you know, and you know, I've talked to a couple people that are grandmasters in the KAA, you know, and one of them was, you know, I just asked him point blank. I said, well, what's going on? You know, why do they give you such a hard time? You know, I mean, you're legit, right? And so, oh yeah, he's legit. You know, used to train with you under Gaylord. You know, used to go to black belt classes with you and everything else. I mean, you know, talked good about you and everything else. It's just, you know, the persona thing, you know, and unfortunately, there's not more people that are willing to do things like that and speak out, you know, publicly to other people, maybe in private, like to me, but you know, at the KAA meeting, you don't say, hey, what the heck? Why are you doing this? I mean, you know, whatever, you know. You know, we should stop worrying about putting everybody else down to make ourselves look better. And I think really that's a lot about what it is is, you know, a lot of these younger kids especially think that they have to talk trash about someone else to make themselves look better. And in some cases that's taught to them by their instructor, I think.
You know, it's just like Jim Morez. When I was younger, you know, Gator, not Gator, I'm sorry, Vargas had promoted him from black belt to 4th degree. Of course, they denied it and said Gator gave it to him all the belts, but I already seen the certificates. So they said that because of Vargas. But you know what? In Jim Morez's day, I give that guy credit, man. He was one of the top competitors around. I mean, he beat everybody. He was a threat. I mean, people used to go, "Oh, my dude's crazy, boy." You know, when he fight, you know, he blaster and weapons grand champion. He did a great job in his time. I couldn't sit here and go, "Oh, he was shitty." See, and that's what they do. And I could never do that because Jim Morez was like an icon in the early days, you know, out there. Now, do you wind up that way? No, but I mean, you know, I mean that's just the way life happens sometimes. But I could never take that away from him. He was a champion, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just the way it is, you know.
Oh yeah. You know, so it is what it is, and you know, I'm not sure how much time we've been on here. I think it's been quite a while.
Yeah, you gotta wrap it up.
We're wrapping this thing up because, you know, I'm not sure how long this video is going to be.
It's okay.
You know,
they want to watch it, they can watch it. You know, and I, you know, I mean, they should listen to it and watch it because
Well, they
I tell you,
should. They should, but you know, and that's the other unfortunate thing too, is a lot of times, you know, we can make a video about stuff, you know, we can't force people to watch it. A lot of people will just automatically assume it's going to be, you know, us trash talking or this or that or the other thing, you know, which, that's the ironic piece about it though, I think, because I really don't think that we do a lot of trash talking. I think that, we do a lot of responding to trash talking.
exactly. If you pull back all your videos, all the shows that the KAJUKENBO Live has done, never once at a clear blue sky did I thrash somebody just because. I always returned the favor what they did, what they said. You know, I never went out there and just for no reason said, "Oh, so and so," for no reason at all, because I just lower myself. Now, like I said earlier in the very beginning, I consider all you guys like family, and when you attack your family, what do? Don't you stick up for your family?
Yeah,
I know I do.
yeah.
You know, and that's what I got to do.
What we do. You know, I mean,
You
that's
know, when someone said something that like was Senior Grandmaster knew when that Hojo guy was making fun of him, I ripped him an asshole. You know, because he wasn't even born. You know, when he was in KAJUKENBO. You know, so how would he even know? And with me the same thing. I did the math. He had to be what, like 6? You know, when I got my black belt. You know, so you know that's the kind of people that need to their instructors need to have them stop, and it's the instructor's fault, but that they do that.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, you know, and I tell people straight up too, like when that whole situation happened in the training room, I told them, I said, "Hey, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just passing information between the two of you because you're talking trash somewhere where you're not a member of the room." And that was caused by another political BS stunt where, you know, you got into it with one of the owners of the room and he banned you from the room, kind of thing. Whereas the same thing with me, you know, I got banned from the room because I participated in that conversation, but I didn't do anything wrong. And so I asked him, I said, "Hey, why am I banned?"
Yeah.
And I did talk to Gary Forback and he's like, "Well, I don't know. I don't do that stuff anymore. You know, I retired,
right.
so you need to talk to McAlooey about it." So I sent McAlooey an email.
McAloy.
Yeah, McAlooey, or no. Actually, it's the guy that's the senator. Trying to remember his name. That's the other monitor in the room. So I was like, so I sent him a message.
Yeah, I don't think McAloy's a part of that. I think he just
No, I'm not sure why I mentioned his name. Retraction. You know, I sent him the senator an email and said, "Hey, what happened? Why'd I get banned from the room?" Never got a response. You know, you know, and I used to contribute quite a bit to those rooms. So essentially, all they did is they basically took my desire to talk in KAJUKENBO chat rooms away. you know, so I haven't been posting a lot of my videos in any of the KAJUKENBO rooms. So they're not benefiting from anything that I may or may have to say, or not benefiting. It might be anything, I don't know.
But it's not, they're on YouTube, and they'll see them because they'll come up on their feed thing, you know, the YouTube thing.
Yeah, if
You
they're,
know.
if they're already on there, you know, kind of thing, you know. But you know, it is what it is, you know. But I know there's a lot of people out there that have been disenfranchised by all the politics in KAJUKENBO. In fact, I just reconnected with somebody else who I was neck and neck with when I was back in Sid Lopez's school as far as rank goes, who's now a grandmaster. And this individual basically said, yeah, that's why I stay away from KAJUKENBO associations and this and that and everything else, because of all the politics involved. You know, I know Cijo wanted people to join the KSDI and things like that, be a member of the KSDI, you know, as a black belt, you know, but people are away from it because why would I want to? If I say, hey, KSDI, I want to be a member, and they say, oh, but you're under, you know, Hemenes, so I'm not going to recognize.
Well, I've had people from the KAA, some of the grandmasters actually, tell me that we'd rather be under you than with Kelly and those guys. But the reason we don't is because we feel obligated to Gaylord because of it's his daughters. He goes, we agree 100% what you're doing. He goes, we just don't say anything. He goes, we see what you're doing. He goes, and you're doing a great job because Gaylord would be proud of you. He goes, and that's the only reason that we don't switch over to go under you is because of you feel bad about Gaylord's daughters. You know, and it's not, you know, that's okay. I said, I go, you know, I'm here for you. I talk to them all the time still.
Yeah.
You know, but they don't want to get themselves in trouble, so they, you know, don't say anything. You know,
Get in trouble for joining another organization. I mean, why is that a thing? You know, I mean, if I want to be a member of the KSDI, the International KAJUKENBO Association, the WWKF, the KAA, American KAJUKENBO Association. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more out there that I don't know that even exist. What's wrong with that? I just want a fellowship with my Ohana, right?
Yeah.
I want to learn as much as I can from everybody, right?
Yeah.
You know, why not have these conversations outside of, you know, your organization? Why not talk to each other, right? Why not build a bridge between each other instead of breaking one off in somebody's ass every time because, you know, that's what my instructor told me I had to do.
Yeah. And I know, and this is the last thing I want to say, then we wrap it up. And there's one thing that I've done, and I stick to it. I've never poached anybody's black belt or grandmasters or professors to come to us. Never. Everybody that's with us has come on their own. I've never once went to KSCI or Alta Costco's or COA or whatever and said, hey, quit there and come here. Never. And there's not one person that could ever say that I did that. Ever. And I don't know how many, and it was mainly KSCI and COA that did it to me. They poached my guys. And what happened? My guys were loyal to me. And they sent me the text. That from the person. I go, send me the text. They sent me the text. I called up Mike Sanders. I called up Forback. What the hell? I called Corpus. What are you doing? Wasn't happy. You know, but why? Why would you do that? And then I hear some bullshit lie. Just yank my chain. You know, I played enough poker in my life. You know, I know who's bluffing and who's not bluffing, you know, and when they talking about that bullshit, you know, I kind of go, yeah, okay, whatever, dude, you know, but, you know, I would never do that. I would never lower myself. I never did it in 37 years in my studio. I never said, quit Palin to come here, quit Juarez to come here. Never. And we've had students go, my students go to them, their students come to me. I don't care. I've always called them up, but when it happened, hey, so-and-so came here. Is it okay? You know, people want to leave when they come from Grandmaster Willis Association. You know, as soon as I said, "Yo, are you under Grandmaster Willis?" No, you can't come under me. You know, he's part of us too, and won't do it. You know, just won't do it. Because I like I was talking with Senior Grandmaster New. I value our friendship more than if one of the students wanted to leave there and come here. I wouldn't jeopardize our friendship over that because that student one day would be gone, or in a week or a month, or jump someplace else, and then we have the animosity towards each other. So I would never do that.
Yeah.
That's the rule I stick by. Right, Senior? How don't you fall asleep over there? I know
Absolutely.
you're older than
No,
us.
no. I'm
Well, let me
enjoying
ask you
this.
this though. I think of it kind of this way too, because if somebody has a problem with what we're doing as an organization, right? Isn't it easier to fix something from within an organization than from outside that organization?
Well, of course.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah, absolutely.
going back to my original, well, it's not an either or, you know, it's not a, you have to be, you know, a member of the WWKF or the WWKA or the KAA or the KSDI or the IKA, IKF, whatever. You can be members of multiple organizations, right?
Yeah,
So if I want to,
absolutely.
I see an issue with your organization, but you know, you're a KAJUKENBO brother, you know, and you know, I'm a black belt in KAJUKENBO, and I go, huh, you know, maybe I don't think that's right, you know. I should call you and talk to you about it, right? Um, you know, not only
Well,
that, but
I had that with Jordan Palin in the day. We had the studios in San Leandro. He had his, had mine. If one of his students came to me and wanted to sign up, first thing I do, I go, okay, yeah, you can come in, but I gotta get it
yeah,
approved by Jordan. I would call up Jordan and say, hey, this guy, you know, he came over, da 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 da. And Jordan would be, oh yeah, no, take him.
yeah,
And vice versa. Jordan's called me up, hey Tony, one of your guys. Oh, you call me Tony, you call me Grandmaster Professor. He's one of your guys came over, you know, I'm gonna take him.
yeah,
Take him.
yeah, but that's at
And,
school
yeah.
level. That's instructors, right?
Yeah, but that should follow along with
Yeah,
even the associations. You know, if you know, one comes to me, I hate to use that guy for an example, but Mamoon, what's his name? Mamoon.
Minmoon Mishbah.
Yeah, from Morocco.
Morocco.
He's been dying to be under us for years, right? And so not too long ago, you know, oh no, I want to be under you. I go, but you're under COA. Well, yeah, but I told Mike Santos that I wanted to be under you, and he said no problem. I said I went back and forth. I said okay. So I called up Mike Santos. I never told him that. So that was it. I said, no, you can't come under us. You need to stay with Mike Santos. So he lied to me from the beginning. You see, but see, I could have just took him, you know, but he's in a different situation. He would have caused me a lot of heartache. But besides that part, I mean, I could have just took him, but I didn't. You know, I called him Mike Santos, and we're not best of buds, you know. So, you know, and then he said, no, I never told him that, you know. And I said, well, he can just stay with you, you know. That's what I told him.
Yeah. You know, there's since we're talking about that, you know, we have protocols, you know, and normally when one instructor takes another instructor's student, the instructor is supposed to call the other instructor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
But nowadays, a lot of the instructors, they just bypass it. They say, no, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And then with the family tree, they try to get them to take their name off the other grandmaster and put it under, and Phil, Senior Grandmaster Glennis. Well, that's not how you really pronounce it, actually. He actually tells them no.
Yeah.
Because you got your black belt from this grandmaster. Yeah,
or you get somebody, I won't mention his name, but you know what I'm talking about, a senior, will take someone else's organization for financial gain.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I know about that one.
yeah, I don't want to say his name, but you know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be that way, especially when you're best friends. There's no money in the world that would, you know, I would swap that for, you know, I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't say, oh, well, you see, if someone's going to pay me this, well, I'm going to, you know, take him away. I just wouldn't do it. You know, so, I mean, but some people, they feel in the need to do that, and they forget about the loyalty and the friendship someone has.
Their friendship, yeah.
yeah,
yeah, and their friendship is more than anything. You know, I mean, anything. You know, so, you know, it just is what it is, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. That's right.
Yeah.
But hopefully one day, I doubt it, but one day, it'll all stop and, and like I said, they need to stop playing God, or like you said, the cool kid club,
Yeah. I mean, we're all one big family. We're all KAJUKENBO. And I know there's a lot of consultation that comes up because we accept people who aren't KAJUKENBO and we teach them KAJUKENBO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think everybody does that. Now, whether or not they recognize their belts or not, I don't know. I can tell you that throughout my 40-year journey to becoming a black belt, every time I did go to another school, they accepted my belt with where I was at,
Sure.
and then I went forward from there. Granted, to get another belt, I have to learn the material in that organization, which would usually also transfer to a different style or a different method or a different, every school,
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier to you guys. There's people come in my studio that I know who they are, I know who their teachers are, and I let them keep their rank. Then there's people that come in there that, I took karate for 20, 30 years. Oh, who's your teacher? Oh, I forgot his name. Yeah, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So I mean, those guys don't do that. But like, if they come from, especially if they come from a different KAJUKENBO studio, I always hold it. I always keep their rank.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine
Always.
that being I don't remember Sid Lopez's name.
Exactly. Who your teacher? I don't know. Grandmaster Gay. I forgot his name.
I mean, a couple months, okay, I get it.
Grandmaster Hemenes.
I've done that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had that. I think that a little tiny guy from Japan. I forgot his name, but anyway, he made a comment about I was never at black belt class. Well, Gaylord wound up having the black belt class permanently at my studio. So I think my answer was, what did I do? It was at my studio. What, I hid in the bushes because I was too afraid to go out there. I go, come on, dude, grow the fuck up. I go, I've never been to black belt class. I'm just like, shit, be kidding me.
Yeah. Well, you got to figure
I started black belt class.
you got to figure that kid didn't have his black belt when you were,
I think it was a little kid. He was a little kid. I wasn't even in KAJUKENBO, I mean, to tell a senior grandmaster that, that's the kind of stuff that's so ridiculous.
Well, chalk it up to lacking any kind of self-respect, let alone respect for others.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, that's my opinion, and if you don't respect yourself, if you don't respect your others, especially your seniors when you're talking about within KAJUKENBO. So, I may not agree, but that doesn't mean that publicly I'm going to lash out in the way that I've seen people do. Because I have no problem talking to somebody and saying, hey, I've sent a couple very senior people emails saying, hey, this guy yours? This guy's claiming to be yours.
Yeah.
They won't always get a reply, sometimes, that's okay. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've reached out to Kelly Gaylord in the past, and I said, wouldn't you be smarter if you work together than against each other?
Yeah.
Like, no reply. Yeah. No reply. And there's so well. I think if I hate to use his name, but if Ron and some of those guys were out of the picture, it'd be a whole different situation. I mean, they got the same group of people they've always got, But I think she would have found a whole different light because, she's just hearing what one person said, So, like I said, you're always stronger than Vargas did this one time, and I did to my students too. Actually, I did it at my aunt's funeral too. I said, if you take one pencil and you break the pencil in half, it's easy, right? Now I take 30 pencils, break them all together, break them, and they're all, can't break them, can you? Because we're stronger in numbers than we are just with one.
Right.
And that's the way it should be. I mean, they were silly not to hop on board and be part of it. So now we're the number one federation in the world, and they're not. So
Well, you know, if some of
That's
the
what it is.
energy got put into just training people in KAJUKENBO, think of how much stronger they would be. You
Oh, of
know,
course.
I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
organization you're speaking of, when I look on the family tree, I don't see anybody downline.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, might make a lot of black belts, but none of your black belts continue the line.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, on the family tree, like I was telling a senior today, I could put all of our people that's under us, and we have hundreds and thousands of people under us. I could put them all under our family tree, but they're not. They're not my real black belts. The black belts on the family tree, I trained those black belts. They came from me. You know, they came
Right.
from me. Except, like I said, you're on there because you're working with me and stuff like that. But all the other ones above you, they came out of 150th Avenue. And then, of course, Jimmy broke off and has his studio. He's got all those people. Mark broke off, Gilbert, or whatever, Alex Pasenko. And then, you know, the tree just went on and on and on and on and on. You know, but could I have put all those people on there? I could have, but I didn't do that. You know, I put the people that's training hard, like yourself. You came from Sid Lopez. You know, and then so I know your background. Now you're under me. You've been training. You've been getting all your stuff down all these years. You're one of my black belts. That's just the way it is. So that's why you're on there. You know, I'm not going to put people on there that, you know, doesn't do KAJUKENBO. You know, he's not going to do it.
Yeah, why would you want to? You know, I mean,
I wouldn't.
you know,
You know,
I
I mean,
look at it this way. You know, when you
Mark.
excuse me.
Sorry about that. Mark Gary promoted, trained Ernie Reyes and Tony Thompson, you know, from West Coast Taekwondo. He promoted them their first degree in KAJUKENBO. He trained him in KAJUKENBO on the side. Now Ernie Reyes has thousands of black belts. They would be all under his lineage, but you know, I said, no, don't put all them people on there. Just put Ernie and Tony's fine, you know, because I just didn't want that, you know. So,
Well, that's like I think Siju kind of set the example when it comes to accepting somebody's rank outside of KAJUKENBO when he told McCandless that when he said you know, he was willing to start over as a white belt in KAJUKENBO. No, you keep your rank. You're a black belt. You'll learn eventually by helping me teach. Right.
sure.
And that's at the beginning of KAJUKENBO. Okay.
Right.
So why should any of us do anything differently? You know, I have a black belt under me who's not my black belt. In fact, he's a third degree. I'm a third degree. Okay.
Yeah.
He's from another style of KAJUKENBO, right? But he wanted to learn our style. Right. So he's with me. Okay. Makes it really easy on me because I don't have to promote him. He's already a black belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But he's learning the Hemenes method. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, which is, you know, under the Gaylord line. And that's the other thing too, is when somebody says, if you're really Gaylord method, you would succumb or submit to the KAA. Well, let's look from Gaylord and let's look down. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in his downline. Therefore, I'm part of the Gaylord method.
Sure.
Right. Regardless if my instructor is Anthony Hemenes, Sid Lopez, Tim Gagne, keep going. You know, I could name off about 5 or 6 other people that I trained with in under Sid Lopez that are now grandmasters. You know, but you know,
see, that's what Gaylord did kind of towards the end before he passed. The last, because not Kelly Gaylord, but one of the other daughters telling me that well, actually said Mark Gary wrecked her dad because Professor Grandmaster Gaylord, when he got promoted by him, like when me, Brian Yoshi, Jim Williams and stuff, it was like far and in between, 5, 6, 7 years for you to get a degree. I mean, it was far in between. Towards the end, he started promoting everybody that just to get him under him, you know, that didn't train with him. You know, you're under me from now on. You're going to be this. He's never done that before, but towards the end, he did do that.
yeah,
That's the only thing I can say that he maybe did kind of wrong a little bit, but you know, he did do that. And then that's when Tim Garnier falls in that place, because when he said he took, you know, he trained with Gator for 30 years, like, you know, I called him on it because he lived in Oregon and he lives in Fremont. He did not train with Gaylord. I don't care I've been there in all those black belt classes, never once seen you in there, or Kelly Gaylord, so I go, never, so I mean, you go to a seminar once in a while, that's not really training. You work out the seminar, but that doesn't mean you're one of his black belts. That's why I call him a paper black belt. But you better wrap this up. We're gonna have a 3-hour thing, and no one's gonna watch it.
Yeah. So hey, so with that said, hey, if you're still watching, we really appreciate it. I'm glad that you stuck around this long. Hopefully
We
that
call
means,
it. We can call this martial arts after dark.
yeah,
There you go.
because we'll start in the morning and we end after dark.
Yeah, martial arts talk after dark.
So who knows? But I think that we talked about some cool things.
I'd like to one day get a live one so people can ask questions.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe we should do a live event, and then people can come in and start shit in real time. And then we can
But then again, they probably have to put their real name down, and they probably don't want to do that.
yeah. Well, and I don't see why people are afraid to do that. I mean, if I'm going to say something, I'll put my name in there. I don't care. I want you to know who I am when I tell you you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, I think there's a lot of that going on. And I guess I could just end this by, hey, please, if you do hold a rank in KAJUKENBO and you do hold a position in KAJUKENBO, please execute that position. I take what I do very seriously. I don't promote my students just because I want to look good. I promote them when they reach the level that they need to be at. I don't even do belt tests. I'm testing them every day. When I think they're ready, I start class, and before they put their belt on, I reach into my gi and I pull out their new belt, and I walk over and I promote them. Maybe that's not the right thing to do, but I think it's the cool thing to do because they don't.
I've done that. Most of the time, usually when they get tested for their black belt, I'll give them a long old test or their brown belt. But the color belts, the same thing you do.
Yeah. And then it's just my opinion, because I think, I take the stance that a promotion is earned. And when somebody's earned that level of proficiency in my eyes, then, I look at belt tests at the lower levels, especially throughout the color belt ranks, as just opportunities for instructors to make money. Okay. Okay. Yeah. We're going to do a belt test on Saturday. If you want to, sign up and be tested for your next belt, the sign up sheet's over there. It costs you $50.
Yeah.
And then if you don't make it, guess what? See you at the next one, and can't wait to get that.
I've never in 40 years, I never had I never charged anybody for their belts, and back to a kids class, I never had a set testing. Can I tell you why? Real quick before we stop. Let's say I get 10 white belts. I'm gonna promote them to yellow belt. Okay. Remember the little kids. Let's say I promote out of the 10, 8 of them gets promoted, and the other 2 fail. What did I do to the other 2 kids? I didn't help those 2. I crushed those 2 kids.
Yeah.
And most likely they're not going to come back because I crushed them. I'm not going to go, no, you next time we'll test you next time. When I promote them, I promote them all when they're all ready, and I promote them. I can watch it. I can see what they're doing. I see the techniques in class. I see what they're doing. I don't need to bring them up there for everybody and do that. Because especially little kids, there's no way I'm going to crush the little kids, from white to yellow belt or white to orange, yellow to orange. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
Brown, black belt, little different. You got to get their ass kicked. But the color belts, no, I won't do that.
Yeah.
And Vargas never did that. He promoted. I got tested for my purple belt. He did do that. He didn't test me. Tammy Kassan did. And all the other belts, after class, kneel down, come up, and promoted us. Well, me. And when he promoted to, the last thing, and keep going, but when he gave me my my brown belt, because at that point I used to be all the black belts. I mean, they just couldn't even come close. So he brings me up, kneels me down, and he promotes me to my brown belt. And he talks a lot, and he goes, "This is the last belt you will ever get from me." You will not get a black belt from me. You're too self-centered, da 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 da. You will not get it. This is the last belt you will get from me. It's a brown belt. So I'm like, yes, Sifu, and instead of being a happy moment, people were like, oh man, I'm so sorry, after class and stuff. And I went home and I thought about this. And I thought to myself, wow, why would you do that? I beat everybody. I did this, I did that. And I go, you would think, well, I'll just quit and go to Warriors or go somewhere else. I said, no. I'll be there Monday morning, Monday afternoon. I was there at class. 6 months later, he called me up and gave me my black belt. He tested me that day for my black belt because the average person would have told him to fuck off and quit and went someplace else. I didn't do that. Didn't even question him, and I was there bright and early Monday. And he told me, he says, that was your black belt test. He goes, you can go up and do all the pinyons, you can beat everybody, you can do all the forms. He goes, that's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see this up here. If you had it. And that's what he did.
Well, that's some of the mental game, the mental part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really want to make someone a black belt in KAJUKENBO who's not going to be able to pass that along to someone else? You know what I mean? I mean, that's my thought on that is kind of okay, you knew you're ready, physically and got all your material down and everything else. Now it's just a matter of, okay, do you have the mental fortitude and the qualities that a black belt should have? And there people don't do that anymore. They're like, do you know all the techniques? You do? Boom, okay. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
And that to me is more or less what the black belt test is probably about, is not necessarily so much about the material, because obviously whether your student knows the material or not. It's, can they make it through all the challenges that you put them through? Will they stick it out, or will they just say, you know what, I quit because
Well, and then he had another requirement, and that one, I'm not gonna lie, I did not do. Nowadays, I wouldn't think twice. I do it all the time. But back then, I had that. Have you seen the old pictures? I had big afro and stuff like that. Well, back in the day, because Gator did it to him and his guys. When you get your black belt, you're supposed to shave your head bald to show your discipliness. Well, I know John Barron did it. A couple of the others did it. Rick Schrammel didn't do it. So that all I remember is I turned around and then all the other black belts look at me and they're going. And now when I cut my hair was like that, right? Afro, right? I couldn't do it. I was still like 21 years old. And I was like still going out, and stuff. Thinking, and back then, you weren't bald. People weren't bald. They had big hair. Nowadays, it wouldn't make a difference. But that's the one thing I didn't do. I didn't shave my head bald. Like I just, and he never said anything. But I know it's in the back of his head. And the guilt, I had to come up with because I didn't do it. And a lot of my black belts in the beginning did the same thing. I told them the story. You don't have to. And everyone wanted to promote, except for the women. They shaved their heads bald. They came in the next day, bald as a cucumber, Yeah. But that wasn't. He said when Gator did it, it was like 10 of them. And they were brown belts going for black. He made every one of them shave their heads bald. And in 3 months, when their hair grows back, then that's their testing should be over. And as a brutal testing, out of the 10, he said him and 2 other guys lasted the test. Because all the other ones got broken bones, broken arms, broken legs, because Gator was just really mean. So he said out of the 10, there was 3 left. And it was him, and I've got the other 2. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Old school.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Good talk.
Should we talk again?
Hopefully
Absolutely.
everybody enjoys this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and where's that thing at? Boom, boom, stop.